Before I'd given my life to Christ, I had another really beautiful encounter with the Father. And I was a child, and we were living in these apartments that they weren't safe apartments. And I always dreamed of living in a two-story house when I was a child because I wanted to run up the stairs. And actually, this happened when I was like, let me think. I think I was in elementary. I was in elementary. I was in elementary. I was in elementary. Yeah, I was. But maybe it was like fourth grade, fifth grade, something like that. And so I always wanted to live in a two-story house when I was growing up. And so because I wanted to run up the stairs. That was literally the only reason why. And so I remember I would watch TV and I would see these people in these homes and they'd be walking up the stairs and the stairs would be carpeted, and I was just like, wow, I really wish I could do that too. So anyway, I remember that I heard these people talking about, if you have like this board, it was like I don't know what you call those things, like a vision board, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, okay? But like if you have this vision board, God will bring it to pass for you, blah blah blah. I was so little. They weren't talking to me. They were talking to my relatives. Okay, they weren't talking to me. But I was like, oh, is that how you pray to God? And so I drew him a picture. And yeah, I drew him a picture. I was like, because I didn't know how to pray. I wasn't going to church. I didn't have a Bible. I didn't know anything about him. I just knew that people were saying that there was this person that that existed, and he was really powerful, and he had made everything. That's what I heard. I didn't know anything else about God, okay? I vaguely had been hearing about Jesus. Vaguely. I don't even know. I don't even know if I could have said his name at that point, because it was like I wasn't given that information. But I knew that I wanted to reach out to the one who made everything, because I thought, wow, he must be pretty cool. But my idea of God when I was like in elementary, because no one taught me about him, I was like, he's like a machine. Like that's literally what I thought. I was like, he's like a machine, and you give him like your prayer request, you tell him what you want, and he pumps out like what you need or something. Like literally, I just thought it was like this automatic thing. It's like a machine in the sky. You need something, you tell him, it's like fast food, he'll bring it to you. That was literally how I saw the creator. I was unchurched. It was unchurched. And to be honest, being unchurched really protected me, because most of the people that grew up in church, they are some of the most hypocritical people that you'll ever encounter. I thank God that I was so unchurched. But anyway, I was unchurched, so I didn't know any better. Like, oh, you don't draw pictures for God. So I drew him a picture. I was like, I'm gonna pray. I'll draw him a picture. And so anyway, I drew a picture, and in the picture there was a two-story house, and I was just using the crayons that was in my crayon box. So I had a really ugly green color, and when I was a kid, I didn't see it as ugly. I was like, oh, it's a green. I'll color the house green. And then also in front of the house, I drew and colored in 3 cats, and I had my mother and myself in front of this, two-story house with the 3 cats. Okay, so one of the cats, okay, so I'll talk about like what happened. I'll talk about what I drew. So, okay, so actually I think I'll just tell the story, and that will fill in the information about the cats. So at some point I forgot I drew the picture. Like I drew the picture and then I forgot. Like I'm little kids. They'll do something and then they'll go on, they'll go on with their life. You have PE in school, you have this and that. And actually, I don't think we had PE at that point. Well, we did, but it was like mostly it was like my music class that was freaking me out when I was in elementary because my teacher was kind of angry. But anyway, one day my mother and my father decided to get me a cat. And it was like, what? I'm gonna get a cat? They did not know I drew this picture to God. Okay, they had no idea about it. But so they took me to the SPCA. And as I was going through the aisles, the different cats they had, it's just my personality. I gravitate to the unwanted. I gravitate to the unwanted, whether I've always been that way. The unwanted, the rejected, the one that doesn't have a friend. I always gravitate to them because I don't know. I've just always done that. So when I was going through the aisles of the different cats, I was like, no, not that one, not that one. And there was this one cat that I saw. And when I saw it, I felt so bad for it because I thought to myself, this cat is so unattractive. No one's gonna want this cat. So I said, I'll take it. And what was really funny is that was one of the cats that I had drawn on the picture. And, I just speckled different colors everywhere. It was a calico, but I just speckled all these different colors everywhere. And I didn't know what I was doing. But God brought me that cat. And again, I had completely forgotten that I had even drawn this picture to God. So anyway, at some point, one day, so I have this cat. I had this cat probably, I want to say, for a good year before the rest of the the rest of the prayer that I had drawn to God started to come to pass. So one day, so that cat was living with us at our apartment. That was really bad apartment. One day, my mother was just passing by, after school. We were passing through a neighborhood, and we saw these people painting this 2-story house. It was actually a duplex. But from the outside, it looked like it was a 2-story, and they were literally painting it while we were passing by, this horrible green color. And I mean, it was the horrible dark green color. It was exactly the color from my crayon box. And again, I just remember I didn't even think about that as a kid. And I really didn't. I didn't notice the coincidence. I found my picture that I drew to God years later. And then I was like, oh my God, he did that. But we were just passing by. My mother saw that there was a for rent sign outside of the place. And the landlord actually was there. So she stopped the car and she was talking to the landlord as they were painting the house this ugly green color. We were on ladders painting this duplex this ugly green color. And the lady that was the landlord, she was so sweet. She gave me this little mermaid toy that it was from a Happy Meal, and I was in the car playing with it as my mom was talking to her. So cute. I was so unaware of anything. I was completely unaware of anything that was happening. And so anyway, we eventually moved into that place. So we moved into the place and we get the part of the duplex that has the stairs. I was so happy. Oh my God. I was so happy to run up the stairs. I was every day. I was so happy to go up those stairs. It was such a pleasure for me. I was so happy about it. So anyway, so the first, so we were just driving by that time when she saw the landlord, because we didn't really know that. I mean, my school was in that neighborhood, but we hadn't explored that neighborhood, okay? So about maybe, I want to say, maybe a week and a half, a week of us living there, we decided to try to explore the neighborhood by foot, okay? So while we were exploring the neighborhood by foot, we decided, okay, there was a corner store that was about 2 blocks away, and we ended up going in there. The people were so sweet, like so sweet. These people are so sweet. And anyway, they're such sweet people. Whenever you go in there, like after we started to go in there a lot, they'd be like, do you need milk? You need eggs? You need, they would just go through this whole list. It was so funny. It was like this all the time. And like, it makes me laugh. But now that I'm thinking, like when I became an adult, I started thinking back on this. They were making those suggestions because it was a small store and they probably didn't want that stuff going bad. And it was such a cute place. And they were wonderful people. Wonderful people. But anyway, when we walked in there for the first time, it turns out that their little cat had kittens, which sounds so awful. Like the cat wasn't spayed. The cat wasn't spayed. I guess it was just walking around the neighborhood, but it was their cat, and it was pregnant. Well, it had given birth. Okay, so when we go in there, they were like, "Oh, do you want a cat? Do you want a cat? Our cat just had kittens," and so I was all for it. I looked at my mom and she was like, it was fine. So we went back there to see the cats. I was really happy about it. I mean, I'm so glad that she was okay with me getting another cat, but it was really supernatural. Like God was literally leading my steps. So anyway, we walk back there and we see these little kittens, and they were nursing from their mom, but they were also old enough to be able to eat solid food. So they were in that like middle stage of having the security of their mom, but they're eating they can eat regular food too. And so we went out there and they were really trying to push the little white cat, like, oh, why don't you get the little white cat? And I was like, I remember saying, everybody wants a white cat. Everyone's going to want to get this cat. So no, I'm not going to get the white cat. There was this one cat that I saw, and it was a striped color. And I was just like, that one is so tiny. Like all the other kittens were much bigger than this one. And I felt so bad for it. I said, I'll take this one, because the other cats are eating up all the food. So I took it home. And it turned out that was the cat that was in the middle. I had drawn a striped cat in the middle of my picture, and it ended up being that one. And the cat that I had drawn because it was 3 cats, the cat that I'd drawn on the far right was the speckled calico cat that I ended up getting from the SPCA. Okay, so there was an extra cat, right? So this is what happened. So a few weeks after we had gotten this cat, we go back to the corner store. We were going there all the time, but they told us, they said, are you sure you don't want, that white cat? Because what ended up happening was that was the only cat that didn't get adopted. The other kittens had been adopted and nobody wanted the white cat. And I asked my mom, she was with me, and she was like, okay, we can get it. God held that white cat for me, because that was actually the first cat that I drew. It was a white cat. So the cat on the left was a white cat, and the cat in the middle was like a striped cat, brown, white, and black. And then the cat that was on the the far right, it was like this calico. I didn't know it was a calico, but I was just speckling different colors. I guess I gave up at that point. I was just like doing anything on the picture, but he brought that to pass for me. that is like such a miracle. Like, what was so crazy is that I was living in that miracle, not even recognize. I didn't know God. I didn't know. I didn't know what He had done. But He was so merciful. He was so merciful, and He did it to show me a sign that He was with me.